Before you can use GitHub, you've got to have Git installed on your computer. So let's just run through that first. So you go to the Git website and download the latest version for your operating system. So let's just save that on the desktop. Now, while you're here, I mean, there's a lot of information here, obviously, but while you're here, it might be worth downloading a free copy of this book, which has got pretty much anything you want to know about Git in it. That's what I refer to if I get stuck, and there's a free copy, so let's save that on the desktop as well. And it's all, yeah, it's got, and as I say, anything you would ever want to know pretty much about using this version control system. Anyway, so let's carry on and install it. So just allow the operating system to install it. So you've got the usual stuff, just install it in the normal places. Just the standard settings there for now. Which editor would you like Git to use? Would you like it to use Vim? No, because Vim was first written in something like the late 1960s and is incredibly difficult to use. Yes, it says there, Vim is the default editor for Git only for historical reasons, and is highly recommended to switch to a modern editor instead. I heartily agree with that statement. So I think Notepad Plus is probably the one to use. So let's go for that. Yeah, and again go for the middle option there, I think, just to keep things simple. Yep, leave that as it is as well. And leave that default as well, and default setting for that as well. I will go for the default setting on that. I think I will go for the default setting on that. So, if it's up to you if you want to accept all the default settings, but if you don't understand them, then as is normal, it's probably best to stick with the ones that they've chosen. It should install relatively quickly. Yeah, there we go. I don't think we want to bother with the release notes. Okay. I assume it's doing something. Okay, so what we should find is there is a Git menu there. Now there are three options on this menu. First one is Git Bash. What that is a Linux-like command line, which you can use if you like working from the command line. If, however, given that this is a Windows system, you could just go and use the Windows command line, which is a little more familiar. I don't know what, I mean, to be honest, it's just an ordinary Windows command line. So if I just opened a standard window, then it behaves in exactly the same way. So you can just open a window like that. There is also a graphic interface, which there are many graphical interfaces for Git, but this one comes as the default one, installed as a sort of default one. There are others with more features and more functions that you can sort of download. Some of them from the Git website, in fact. But this one's sort of pretty basic, but it does everything, pretty much most things that you need to. So anyway, that's it installed essentially. Before you can use it though, let's just open a command line again. There's a couple of configuration settings that you have to type in. You only have to do them once. The first one is to set up an email address. Oh, got that wrong. Global user.email. So I'll just use my university one. It normally probably doesn't use it as an email address, it just uses it as a unique identifier for you. Although Git can be configured to sort of email you for certain things. The other thing you need to set up is a username of some sort. Now you can just make this up. I tend to use names that which tell me which computer I'm using. So for example, if I was using my laptop, I might use a name that was something like this. If I was using Linux on it, I might use that name. So if it was a desktop machine, you could call it something like that maybe. But anyway, you can call it whatever you want. It's just I find it useful to have something which reminds me or tells me which computer I'm using. Okay. So that should mean that if I list all of the configuration variables, yeah, there they are. So that's the name and that is the email address. Okay, so that's pretty much that's Git installed. So if you don't provide Git with a command, it just gives you a help, like a list of all the, not all of them, but most of the standard commands, and that's it. So Git is installed on your computer. That means you can now use it from, say, from within IntelliJ or from within Android Studio, as well as using it from the command line as here. Okay.